Good morning, Northern Michigan golfers. Welcome to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio, our YouTube and Facebook pages. Jerry Coyne is Zooming with the great Matt Ginella. Matt, I love your Masters flag there, signed by Arnie. That is a classic, buddy.
Yeah, we my four corners of icons. Hogan 50, Nicklaus 86, Arnold Palmer, Masters, and Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
2001. So, not messing around here, Jerry.
We got the big guns out today, baby.
Yeah.
I know the last couple times we've had you on, you mentioned a lot about the work that you've been doing with the folks at Pasatiempo, one of the great Alistair McKenzie golf courses that a lot of people don't know really was a McKenzie. And it showed up during the college, what was it, the Western playoffs, Western college playoffs.
Western Intercollegiate is a tournament that's been going on. In fact, Scotty Scheffler is a past champion of the Western Intercollegiate. But yeah, San Jose State is the host at Pasatiempo, and it's a great opportunity not only to showcase college golf. It's a really quality tournament, but it's also it's one of these golden age historical sort of museums of architecture. And to your point, I think a lot of people have been coming in and out of the Bay Area, whether it's San Francisco or San Jose, and driving right by Pasatiempo on their way to the Monterey Peninsula, not even knowing that, right up tucked into the sort of the hills there near Santa Cruz, that there's this, this, in my mind, it's wildly underrated as in terms of the rankings and where it falls on 100 greatest, and forget 100 greatest public, which I think it's a top 10 100 greatest public, but I think it's a top 25 100 greatest in the country. So it's finally getting its due. I think they did a nice, beautiful Jim Urbina earth sculptures. Justin Mandan's the superintendent there, and is what I would call probably top of the industry in terms of agronomy. And together with the membership and the leadership there, did a 2-year full-blown restoration of their greens, all 18 greens. So we did a 2-part docu-series on how they did it, what they did on Fire Pit Productions. It's a fascinating story in my mind of how and why they did what they did to greens that had lost their way, over time, sand splash, runoff, all the various, aspects that contribute to the evolution of a golf course, specifically the putting surfaces. For Urbina to do what he did and how he did it with the team that they did it with, Brett Hochstein was also involved, and they absolutely crushed it. And I think they've brought this place back to prominence. McKenzie very famously, lived and actually passed in this house off the 6th fairway. Marion Hollins is getting her due as one of the great, forget the fact that she was a female, one of the great, contributors to golf in general through her, participation in Cypress Point, Pasatiempo, the development of Pasatiempo, Augusta National. McKenzie ended up using her as sort of part of his, boots on the ground when they were building Augusta. So all of that is happening right there in Pasatiempo, and people are finally figuring it out.
Matt, you mentioned the docu-series, Fire Pit Productions, your company put that together. How easy is that to find? They find that on YouTube. Where's that available?
firepitproductions.com, and it's also at pasatiempo.com. It's on, and it lives on YouTube. But yeah, that it's a we sort of documented what they were doing to every green through the lens of the 16th green, which is a 3/3.5, 4-tier green putting complex.
I remember it well. Yeah.
And tucked into sort of one of those little, into the housing area there. And it's incredible. I mean, very famously, McKenzie, Hogan, all the people have talked about, the greatest approach shot, the greatest par 4, the greatest green complex. Like it runs the gamut of the superlatives of how and why it matters.
It had been so long since I played it. I played it like the mid 80s, doing what you said, but when you lived in San Francisco, there was a lot of courses to play, and everybody said, well, make sure you play Pasatiempo either coming in or going out of Monterey. But when I watched it during the Golf Channel's 3 days of coverage, it was really well done. They had a lot of cameras on the golf course. I started to pick up a lot of Mackenzie stuff as it relates to Crystal Downs up here in northern Michigan. It's got a similar routing feel. You don't find that at Augusta, but when I was watching, I go, yeah, that hole moves in a different way than you would normally figure it to it. And there's some really unique routings at Pasatiempo.
I mean, I think Crystal Downs is one that is a hole in my glove. Believe it or not, I've had some invites. I've had.
You never got that when you were up here, man. You spent a lot of time up north.
It's really hard actually for me to admit. It's kind of it's therapy for me to actually say it out loud that I haven't played Crystal Downs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will get it. But I can't really speak intelligently on the reference points, as you're making them relating to Crystal Downs, but Augusta National and Cypress Point and Royal Melbourne and Pasatiempo. I mean, I love Seth Rayner and CB McDonald. Obviously Tillinghast as a play. Donald Ross. There's some things that I love about Ross, but to me, like Mackenzie has had a mind for what he did and how he did it. Land, utilizing the land, the green complexes, and the adventure that you created, the military bunkering of you seeing them from off the tee, but you don't see them from off the green, from looking back from the green, like little things like that. But also, I think the cool thing, what Urbina did and what, Mandan was needing desperately was brought back those pin locations, those greens within the green. And I think if you looked at the Western Intercollegiate and you watched where those pin locations were going, quite frankly, prior to this restoration, they had one, in some cases one, and in some cases none, truly fair pin locations on some of those greens. 8, 5, 18. The par threes were definitely really pressed in terms of where you could actually put a pin and have it be considered fair, especially because they do have incredible agronomy team and the greens would be fast. So if you're going to run the greens at 10, 11 and have all that sand splash and have all that build up of, we're talking about nearly 100 years, it just got out of control. So now what you saw in the Western and Collegiate is, they had 4, but then in some cases they have 8 and upwards of 9, 10 different pin locations within some of those green complexes, 18, 8, 5, to name a few, where you're really literally chipping into a little small area, a little pocket within what we'd consider a green complex. So it was really, I think it really adds to the intrigue, the adventure, the options, the opportunities to sort of get creative, especially around the greens and on the greens.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It leads to a larger conversation. We're gonna transition over here in a second, but with Cypress Point finally being on television for the Walker Cup, and they did the same thing a few years ago at Seminole, and now seeing Pasatiempo here, and this is what they announced are the plans for the Tour Championship. They're going to head to some of these really classic courses like Pine Valley for the playoff part of this. And I think it's great because, you're lucky enough, I've been lucky enough in the past to play some of these courses that are super hard to get onto. And to at least show the golfing public these gems under tournament conditions, I think is one of the best things that's happened in the last 10 years.
I tend to agree. I think there's a big, and I hear from them all the time, there's a big chunk of people out there who the minute they see anything on or about a golf course, that they can't get on it drives them absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And I admittedly, and as you prefaced everything by saying, you know, I feel very, grateful to
Sure.
to have had the invites I've had, to play the courses I've played. It's all part of my, constantly evolving education about this game and the
Right.
venues we call courses, right? So, but I think that cuts both ways. When, I tend to agree with you. It's really fun to see that, but there is also this, ugh, I hate that I'm seeing something that I'll never get a chance to play. Augusta National does it every year. It's the Masters. A lot of people get access to go out. If people are able to go out and they sell a bunch of tickets and people can actually walk and see and
Yeah.
feel the golf, it helps bridge that gap, and that's certainly the case with Augusta. But if you're going to have it at these places and they really make the limited amount of people who can see it, and then the people who are getting those tickets are sort of already the people who get the chance to play it anyway, then it kind of actually ends up, almost being a negative.
You know what is, and some of that, most of that is pretty valid. When we return here on Finding Fairways, we will discuss the boom in golf construction that Matt has been privileged to see a lot of these courses. It's amazing. When you and I first met, people weren't building golf courses, Matt. They were shutting them down. Back after these on Up North Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by Bay Mills Resort and Casino and Wild Bluff Golf Course. Time to check in with our good friends at Boyne Golf. T.R. Hollis is in his magnificent locker/office. I envy you. You are, 10 minutes away from 10 great golf courses, and you kind of know some people.
It is. I mean, yeah, I'm in a lucky spot. So one of the best jobs I would say in the country. It's incredible and grateful. And to your point, 10 of the most beautiful courses right in my backyard. It really can't beat it.
We got the 4th of July holiday. It's always kind of weird, TR. I've been in this business a long time. Sometimes the courses aren't really crazy busy over the 4th of July. People are boating or cooking out or whatever. And especially on Monday after this holiday, there's probably a lot of pretty good tee times available if you go to BoyneGolf.com.
Yeah, Monday and our during the week tee times, great time to hop on our courses. And I do want to note our Dune Break course. Even during the weekend, hopping on that, getting a quick 9, or even when the sun goes down with the big lights above, it's an awesome opportunity to get out there, sneak away from the family for a little bit, and catch some really great golf.
Or take the family, because you can go out there in an 8-some. So, even if a couple of the kids don't really play, you can hit the ball and they can putt the balls on those. Well, they might be putting for a while on some of those greens.
Yeah, well, backyard, our massive putting greens right there too, so you can split up the fun if you do bring the family. But it's such a cool course that we have, and the opportunities just to bring the family in and see it. If you haven't seen it yet, it's such a cool thing, especially right at sunset. Such a cool opportunity to go play a quick round.
There's no doubt about it. I didn't even think about that, but I know you've got some family coming up, and maybe there's a good way to kill a couple of hours.
Oh yeah,
is get them out there.
Absolutely, I'll be there at least once this weekend.
That's what I love to hear. And BoyneGolf.com, check that tee sheet out. I know we're stacking down the month, but this is for this particular 4th of July weekend. Get out and play some golf, and put that golf ball up in that fireworks stratosphere.
Absolutely. Well, fireworks on the course and off the course. I love it.
T.R. Hollis, thanks for joining us here on Finding Fairways. Hit it straight, my friend.
Thanks so much, Jerry. We'll see ya.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf. varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
Grandview Golf Club in Kalkaska has set the standard for the best value golf in northern Michigan. Grandview has all the amazing golf vistas you expect in the pricey resorts without the pricey. Incredible season membership rates and ladies and men's leagues are now forming. Visit GrandviewGolfNorth.com to play your new favorite track. The newly renovated clubhouse with full bar and simulators is open and makes Grandview Golf Club an unforgettable golf experience. Call 231-258-3244 to play today.
There's a moment on the course when everything lines up. The swing, the contact, the result. That's how we approach real estate. At Dean Bach & Company and at Properties, Christie's International Real Estate Collective, we don't guess, we execute. From Traverse City to Harbor Springs, we cover Michigan's Gold Coast with strategy, reach, and relationships that win. Whether it's a lakefront estate, a Gulf side retreat, or your next move, we put you in position to score.
Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by BoyneGolf.com. Jerry Coyne continuing his discussion with Matt Ginella out in California. Matt, we just, before we came on, mentioned a whole bunch of projects that some you've got your fingers into a little bit, but as I mentioned in the last segment, when we first met out at Forest Dunes, they were building golf courses, and now every one of our famous architects are busier than they've ever been.
Hey, Jerry, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm certainly benefiting. I'm certainly benefiting from what is definitely a boom in the development phase of the game. I'm certainly more encouraged by what's being built, how it's being built, where it's being built, who's building them.
Yeah.
Then upon further review, in hindsight's 2020, what was being built in the 90s and early part of 2000s by people who probably shouldn't have been building them. On property that it probably shouldn't have been built on. We've had a massive education within the game as it relates to developments. Right. I think Mike Kaiser drew the line in the sand very, very, very vividly. Looking back now in 1999 with Bandon Dunes. Right. And that moment changed the game of development, changed the game of how we consume it, play it, see it, feel it, forever. Because for whatever reason, we were deciding to not do it the way, the founding fathers of this 1800s and the Tom Morrises and some of those, the great architects of Ireland and the UK. And it's like, why were we out to reinvent the wheel and make it something that's not necessarily what it's supposed to be? And I think, because
you could, right? Because
I guess so. I guess, yeah. I think housing complexes, putting the emphasis on where are we going to put houses and how golf is going to sync up with that versus where are we going to put golf and then have the infrastructure come after that was the fundamental flaw in the system. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have nice houses on nice golf courses, but there's a lot of people who don't. And I think now, at least whatever's being done now in the last 10 years, by the people like Bill and modern minimalists is what we refer them to. Mm-hmm. It's just a better product. It's a better business. It's a better brand. And in the meantime, and also simultaneously, I think the resurrection and renaissance of municipalities and some of the stuff like the Winter Park 9 and the Goat Park, some of the stuff that we've been talking about now for 10, 15 years.
10 years, yeah.
Is also is also a nice, healthy component to I think where the game is. COVID, obviously the byproduct of a horrific, global pandemic, was that people realized the value and the benefits of the game, getting out, getting together, community hubs, camaraderie, health and wellness, an alternative to sort of where society is now with our devices and the anti-social component of it all. I think golf is that nice respite from all of that. So, and then again, youth on course and PGA Junior leagues and
talk about that for a second. Youth on course, Matt. You're wearing that lid. Tell our listeners a little bit about that. Is it any way resembling First Tee? We do a lot of work at First Tee of Northern Michigan here.
First Tee is amazing, right? First Tee, and there's a lot of cool grow the game initiatives. I think First Tee was one of the first that really kind of started to shift the focus on like, okay, what's next? What's happening with the next generation? And I think the value system that First Tee imposes on kids in communities is a nice way of getting a club in kids' hands, and also saying that if and when you get a chance to play golf, here's the way you go about it, and here's what,
the etiquette, right?
First Tee does a nice job of not just growing golfers, but growing good humans, I would say, and I think that's a nice who's
that's
against
a great
that?
Way to put it, 100%.
But I think even if you're a member of First Tee, the question is then, where do you play? How much does it cost you to play?
Right.
And that's where Youth on Course comes in. So if you look at all of the other grow the game initiatives, Drive Chip Putt, PGA Junior League, First Tee, ANWA, I think, is actually a really cool grow the game initiative in terms of shifting the focus to women and access to a place like Augusta National. That's all very cool.
Right.
But Youth on Course, what it does by subsidizing green fees so kids can play for $5 or less. So just think about that for a second. Youth on Course does as an organization, they raise money and then they apply that money to subsidize green fees so that kids can play golf for $5 or less. Actually, just in its brilliance is its simplicity.
Yeah.
Because we all grew up playing golf for $2, $2.50, $3.50, $5, whatever. And
Lincoln
it was
Hills Golf Club, baby.
Yeah, Bennett Valley Golf Club for me, Oakmont Golf Course as a kid. We all have, I went to Sonoma County Fairgrounds for probably 50 cents, quite honestly. So, but I mean, I think what Youth on Course did is started as Northern California Golf Association and has evolved now to its own organization. It's all across the country. It's 2,250 golf courses that are participating. Wow. Every golf association is bought in. You got over 425,000 active members of kids who rock up at one of those golf courses, present their card, I think that they got for about $50. And they then play for $5. And what Youth on Course does is then pays the difference between $5 and whatever that course charges for a junior golf fee to subsidize the difference. So that the golf course is getting what they charge for junior golf, the going rate, whatever that might be.
Right.
But
the other
kids,
$75 of it. Right.
Yeah. And kids get to play for $5 or less. They've subsidized in 20 years, and a big bulk of that is in the last 5 years. They've subsidized over 5 million rounds of golf. And so then if you marry that with a First Tee, because and Youth on Course believes, hey, we can help kids have life-changing experiences through in and around the game of golf if we get them there. And so access and affordability is the two main barriers that they break down, and they're breaking them down at a clip of almost now more than 1 million per year, 1 million rounds per year.
That is
so.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is talking about like the tail wagging the dog, the amount of parents that are getting into the game or back into the game because of their kids is astounding. That's been like the second big spark plug of this renaissance of golf.
Well, and this is also it's a small percentage, but I love the storyline. I love the narrative of. It's one thing for me to get my 9-year-old son in the game by virtue of I go every Saturday to Goat Hill Park and that golf is my life and come along with me and let me expose this game to you, right? But how good is it that in some cases, if my son had a 9-year-old buddy who was a member of Youth on Course and he said, I'm going to go play golf. Do you want to come with me? And let's say I didn't play golf and my son came to me and said, hey, I want to go play golf with my buddy and his dad. And then I said, oh, where are you going? Oh, Goat Hill Park. How much you bet? $5. Okay, I'll give you $5. Wait a minute, you're playing. And then I'm seeing him having fun. And then he brings me to the game. If my son or daughter, that scenario in which the kids are bringing the parents to the game is like one of the then we're really cooking with gas.
And we're really 100%.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to our golf construction segment, so we'll do that next here in a minute when we return on Finding Fairways on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Bay Mills Resort and Casino and Wild Bluff Golf Course.
Quit wasting time putting around and meet us at Wild Bluff Golf Course in Brimley, Michigan. Wild Bluff is a championship golf course with breathtaking views overlooking Lake Superior, with a full-length driving range, chipping area, and large putting green. Visit our fully stocked pro shop for featured golf apparel and equipment, or come to the loft to wine and dine like a pro. Like us on Facebook or visit baymillscasinos.com for more information. Your fairway to heaven starts here.
Ian Murphy from the Iron Pig here. We spent a lot of time reinventing our space in downtown Gaylord. How long has it been since you were really excited about a cocktail and dining experience? Visit Prohibition on Main Street in Gaylord. Open 4 to 10 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. The adventure begins as soon as you walk in the door. Magical house-made cocktails, unique and savory small plates you won't find anywhere else. Explore Prohibition.com and seriously shake up your social life.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. Breathe in the glacial carved canvas of northern Michigan's finest golf courses and have your breath taken away by scenic vistas from tee to green. The perfect place to perfect your game in more ways than one. The waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. Escape every day. Discover the magic of 90 holes at one resort. Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Twin Birch Golf Club in Kalkaska is preparing for a spectacular golf season, and you should too. The Twin Birch Clubhouse restaurant has quickly become a local favorite, with a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch menu full of classic favorites, made with the freshest ingredients. See all the affordable membership options at twinbirchgolf.com, or save even more when you purchase Twin Birch Golf at qdealsmi.com. qdealsmi.com. See one of Northern Michigan's greatest golf values at twinbirchgolf.com.
1. Welcome back to Finding Fairways, our meandering conversation with Matt Ginella about, I love this youth on course, and I'm seeing that a lot at the Boyne Golf Academy, parents dropping their kids off to learn about the game, and the parents want to learn it too. And I just, that's the best thing that's happened. We referenced COVID, the explosion of golf but it brought so many people back to the game, Matt, that now they don't care so much about score. That's counterintuitive to me. I'm always grinding for score. I know you are too. But to see families and kids playing golf for the love of the game, that is, it's one of the biggest unexpected consequences of golf explosion.
It's as good as, this is a really good time for the game on so many layers and levels. And it wasn't that way 20, 25 years ago.
Not at all.
And it was all about like, how do we make the game faster, more fun, more affordable, and there's a lot of people who are like, shrink the game, look at that, and I'm like, I'm not going to subscribe to that. Not now, not ever. I think we need to continue. We need to continue as a collective group of people who consume the game to continue to try to evolve the way the game is consumed. But the idea of shrink the game is probably one of the stupidest and dumbest things to say out loud I've ever heard.
But in the short course world, they have kind of done that, almost accidentally. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. The shrink. I love short courses. I love shrinking the game in terms of the actual footprint, but not the actual number of people playing. That's a really dumb.
No,
statement.
I understand. I just wanted to make sure that our listeners understood your differentiation. We want to make the game more exclusive.
I love short courses. No.
Well, remember when Jack wanted to make a golf takes too long. He was going to build that 14-hole course in Bahamas. I don't think he ever actually built it because, like you said earlier, we want the game to take less time.
Yeah.
That was going to bring more people to the game. It doesn't, but I'm going to take my host reins here and talk about some of the projects. You were talking about the new 5th course at Streamsong.
Yeah, David
is that
Kidd,
is that going to be a new Core Crenshaw?
No, it's David Kidd. It's called Bone Valley.
Okay.
And it'll open this fall, and so you got red and blue Core Crenshaw and Tom Doak.
Right.
You have Gil Hanse's black course, and then they had the chain, which is another Core Crenshaw. It's like they're in the stage of evolving that. Right now it's a 19-hole golf course that it's kind of a mix. It's kind of a shorter course, it's kind of a different version of an executive golf course. There's got some par 4s and some par 3s. You kind of bring your whole golf bag. I think what they're going to do eventually is kind of splinter that and make the first 6 holes a true par 3 course, which it already is, and it's amazing. And then the last 13 holes would be an actual separate course. So going back to Jack's thought, like that's been happening, right? Bandon Preserve is 13-hole par 3 course. The need. We're kind of breaking the mold.
Is 10 holes. It doesn't matter how many holes you have now,
it
right?
Doesn't. Yeah, it does. It's no longer mattering, in some of these cases. So that's a nice thing. And then along comes David Kidd, and so for the first time in golf course development, you're going to have all 4 of these marquee modern minimalists under one roof. So you got Core Crenshaw, Tom Doak, Gil Hanse, and David Kidd. And David Kidd's Bone Valley is, we've been documenting the build of it from the beginning, and we'll put out a docuseries here prior to the grand opening of Bone Valley. We'll put a bunch of stuff out throughout the process, but it is going to be really good. It is good. It's I hesitate to try to set expectations at a level in which people will be pissed at me about, but I love red. Red is like one of my favorite courses in the country, the Core Crenshaw. I've learned to like blue a little better than I did at the start. Some of the greens drive me crazy.
That's Tom. That's Tom Doak.
That's Tom Doak. But man, I love this Bone Valley.
Have you been to Sand Valley yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I took my buddy's trip of 24 guys, the Uncle Tony Invitational to Sand Valley a couple of years ago. I think we're going on 3 years now, but Lido was done. So we got to, Sedge Valley was just fun. We got to play, I think we got to play all of Sedge Valley. We did on that trip. It hadn't officially opened yet, but we got to play it. And, I love Sand Valley. I think, is given the fact that it's not on the water, much like Streamsong, you're not on the water. It's as good as it gets not being on the water, not being on the ocean. It's not, because the water is the X factor. Anytime you're on the water, that the tie goes to something that's on the water. But these are, Sand Valley and Streamsong are marquee elite golf destinations, no doubt, because of the variety and the opportunity to play multiple courses by great architects all under one roof.
Yeah, Sand Valley is on my schedule for next year. And some of these resort you couldn't get on there this year. And the same thing's happening out at Stream Song. They are completely booked. They are like from what I understand, almost 2027, almost sold out.
You can't dilly-dally, Jerry. You can't. You got to actually plan ahead. There's no spontaneous stuff. You're not just rocking up at a top restaurant and getting a dinner table, right? You got to plan ahead. I mean, just ask your wife when you can't just stumble into a Valentine's Day restaurant, reservation. You got to plan ahead.
Thank you for reminding me. I better book that Valentine's Day now. So there's a couple of other big projects slated. I think you and I touched on it briefly. The Skyfall course that Gil is planning here in our backyard at Forest Dunes. I heard they're now going to build another course at Whistling Straits.
That I know. I can't wait to see what Gil does at Forest Dunes. As you know, I know the property well.
Yeah.
Lou Thompson, may he rest in peace. That was amazing. I'm good friends with Rich Mack, who now owns Forest Dunes. It has long been said, and I think we've discussed that. And I love Tom Weiskopf. May he rest in peace as well. I love that. I love that Forest Dunes golf course. I thought the Loop was it's crazy genius concept that Tom Doak was able to pull off. I still think the greens should be twice the size of what they are in order to be played in both directions. But there's Tom Doak again.
I don't want to get into that discussion. I'll just say this about the Loop. Everybody wants to play it, and I take a lot of people out there, and nobody ever says, "Let's do that again."
It's tough.
It's tough to get the ball close to the hole, man. It just really is. Bring your short game. Let's just say that. Bring your short game, and you'll be okay. But you're right. It's a genius concept, and then it seems I know that Rich and Gil have a relationship, and that Hans has already done the routing and says it's the best piece of property. I've heard that from a few times, because Core Crenshaw was actually going to build on that piece originally when Weiskopf built the original golf course. So,
yeah, I think I've heard something to the effect that they did take a walk around. We're going back quite a ways now, but going back into the time where golf had literally, Forest Dunes had grown over at one point.
90,
like it was
almost, yeah. That was 96 when it first built, and then they ran out of money because it was the Detroit Electrical Workers Union, and they built it as a real estate project, and nobody was going to build 150 golf homes on that course in Grayling. It just wasn't going to go.
Have you heard my podcast on Forest Dunes and Lou Thompson buying that property?
I have.
That's one of the greatest stories I've ever stumbled into and Lou told me that story around a fire pit at his house.
Wow.
At the house that he had that overlooks the 18th green. And he told me that story of how he acquired that property, which is literally not only one of the greatest stories I've ever shared, but that I had been told by one of the greatest storytellers I've ever heard from.
Yeah, so, Lou could spit a tale, and they got that for a song.
Yeah, it was a great story. But I'm anxious to see what Gil does there, and I'm working on another project up in River Ranch. David Kidd is doing near the Tri-Cities Airport in southeastern Washington, where they only get about 7 inches of rain a year, and it's right on the Snake River. And we're deep embedded in telling stories about the development of this property as well, that I think, as David says in some of the stories we've been telling, he's at a point in his life and career where he's being selective about who he works with, what land he works with. He says, I'm only doing unicorns. Well, this qualifies as unicorn with the ownership group he has, the land he has, the location, and the opportunity to to do what he wants to do. And he's through the front nine. It's being grassed now. He's building the back nine, and I'm headed up there next week to get an update. But man, this is
Matt,
20 minutes from a major airport. It's going to be legit.
Let me ask you this question, because I haven't heard, you got to know as well as anybody. What does it cost to build a golf course now?
Well,
Where have costs gone now? I mean, it used to be you could build a course for, under $1 million a hole now. And now, you're hearing prices depending on the project, $3.5 million a hole now.
Jerry, it's always going to depend. It's always going to depend on the land you're working with, and what's underneath. If you've got rocks underneath, and you're going to need to truck in and ship in dirt and sand, But are people doing that now? It seems like they're taking landscapes that are pretty ready for they're going back to the minimalist. We're using mules and hand tractors. I mean, yes and no. I know that that's what the Kaisers do, both right. Mike and Chris and Michael. I think sand base is one of their prerequisites. But Laura Loma in the Texas Hill Country that David just did, it's going to be a private golf course. That the Pedernales River, it's an amazing piece of private, but that was on rock.
Wow. Okay.
And so bringing in all that dirt, it's still happening. And when that's the case, costs go up. When you've got sand base, Gamble Sands, Scarecrow, what David did there, it's a lot less, especially if it's a second course costs a lot less than a first course. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the infrastructure and you've got the you got the water and you got the irrigation.
Yep. Right.
So it's not, there's no way I can actually say a definitive answer to your question.
That's fair. Any other projects that us architect geeks should be excited about? There also, I know you're not nearly as in touch with Northern Michigan as you used to be, but Arcadia is now planning another one on the water.
What?
Yeah. Well, they already built the South course. The Bluffs course was the original. They built the South course. It's a mock-up of Chicago Golf Club, essentially.
Wasn't that the second course?
That's the second course. Now they have land on Lake Michigan farther south that they're now penciling in a third.
I did hear that was coming back to Lake. Who's doing that?
I haven't heard the architect's name.
Oh, hit a ceiling as it relates to how many privatized, Ohoopee Match Club would be. How many courses can we be building that are only for 150 members? I don't know the answer to that. And Godspeed. I hope the number's more than wherever we're at right now. I think it's it's not for me, but it's a cool model for a lot of people to have 2 or 3 clubs, and 1 or 2 of those are ones that are like the Ohoopee model, or but I don't get it.
A lot of people got lit up when Doak redid High Point. Okay, but that was because the Trump had brought all his buddies down from the golf courses in Florida and kind of just strong-armed them into becoming members. So that economic model worked, and it may work at Forest Dunes if they get even 100 members, because they'll still supplement it with guest play. So I don't know.
They did that at Sand Valley with the Lido and made that the membership model. It doesn't.
How many members do they have there?
No idea. I'm sure they hit their number when you get the Kaisers involved and you do something like that. I guess it, at a place like that, I'm whatever number they wanted, I'm sure they hit, and they hit it probably overnight. But
Well, the Kaisers don't have many. What's the private course they have in Michigan?
Dunes Club.
Yeah.
But
have you ever played that?
Yeah, it's a 9-hole golf course, and but that was Mike's sort of just entry point into the game and development in New Buffalo, Michigan. And he was,
That was just for him and his buddies outside of Chicago, right?
Correct. Yeah. And it's pretty much still remains the same thing.
I heard it's great.
It's fantastic. And the clubhouse is literally a trailer. It's what you'd expect from Mike. The emphasis is on the golf and the hang,
right,
and the vibe and the hospitality. But we are still, this is always going to be an evolving thing. The business of golf. How many people have access? Is it private? Is it public? The beautiful thing about Pasatiempo, going back to where we started this conversation, is it is a quote semi-private golf course. It's
right.
The UK and Ireland model where you have members and they pay X and they offset whatever costs they have by opening it up to the Ys of the world, right? Like to us.
That's most of the golf courses up here. It really is. Yeah. Gaylord Golf Club and Mishaway and True North, they all have a certain amount of tee times that are available for the public.
Yeah.
Because the golf season is so short, and so how many people are going to sign up for a golf membership that they can maybe play 6 times a year?
I can't believe that more courses don't do it, because I just, you've got a golf course, you have this living, breathing organism. You're making all the, you're making all you're tending to the course every day, no matter if it's one round or 100 rounds or 250 rounds, doesn't matter. And if you're going to take a chunk of time where members don't want to play or are not playing, why not open the doors, charge a premium fee, provide some access and offset costs. But if you're in the business of saying, I don't want anybody else out here, and I'm paying for the privatization of my experience,
you've got that,
then fine. But
you're going to have that no matter what. That's just, that's country club golf. That's where I grew up being a caddy, watching these guys, right, at Oakland Hills.
Yeah.
But even Boyne has that. Boyne has Country Club of Boyne. And then as a member of Country Club of Boyne, they have certain days of the week where you can play Bay Harbor, and you can play the Heather, and you can play Crooked Tree. And when you have that many golf courses, it's great to be a member at Country Club of Boyne.
I do like the moving around. Like I like the model of saying, if we got 3 courses today, this is the private one, and these 2 are open to the public, and tomorrow, like that makes a lot of sense to me. I can see where, like, as a member, I know that I'm having special days where it's just me and my friends and nobody else, and we're going to play in 3.5 hours and great. But the locking off one is private and the other stuff is public, and you can't play here and ever or whatever,
everything has its price. I remember, when we played Shadow Creek, and I'm like, Tony, how'd you get us on? He goes, well, I gamble here a lot.
It cost him a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's not free.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt Ginella, thanks so much for taking all this time to talk with us about the latest and greatest in golf construction and projects. Tell our listeners how they follow you.
Yeah, I'm just all, Matt Ginella.
I'm everywhere
on Instagram, and most of my stuff's now on Instagram, and doing a little bit of, I'm tinkering with TikTok. I'm not good at it. My wife and daughter are way better at it than me, but, and then firepitproductions.com. It's actually firepitproductions.com, but if you type it in, it's going to come up. And then all of our stuff goes on YouTube, but a lot of stuff I'm doing is for the platforms of the clients I'm working with. So Youth on Course and River Ranch and Crazy Mountain Ranch and Stream Song and Wellington and Tepetonka we're working on in Minnesota.
Email me a list of those projects and we'll get it out into the ether.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Always great to catch up, Jerry. Give my best to Michigan. Definitely one of my favorite summer states in the country.
We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on our Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by BoyneGolf.com. Matt.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
Twin Birch Golf Club in Kalkaska is preparing for a spectacular golf season, and you should too. The Twin Birch Clubhouse restaurant has quickly become a local favorite, with a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch menu full of classic favorites, made with the freshest ingredients. See all the affordable membership options at twinbirchgolf.com, or save even more when you purchase Twin Birch Golf at qdealsmi.com. qdealsmi.com. See one of Northern Michigan's greatest golf values at twinbirchgolf.com.
Ian Murphy from the Iron Pig here. We spent a lot of time reinventing our space in downtown Gaylord. How long has it been since you were really excited about a cocktail and dining experience? Visit Prohibition on Main Street in Gaylord. Open 4 to 10 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. The adventure begins as soon as you walk in the door. Magical house-made cocktails, unique and savory small plates you won't find anywhere else. Explore Prohibition.com and seriously shake up your social life.
There's a moment on the course when everything lines up. The swing, the contact, the result. That's how we approach real estate. At Dean Bach & Company and at Properties, Christie's International Real Estate Collective, we don't guess, we execute. From Traverse City to Harbor Springs, we cover Michigan's Gold Coast with strategy, reach, and relationships that win. Whether it's a lakefront estate, a Gulf side retreat, or your next move, we put you in position to score.
Number 5 at Wild Bluff. Matt has decided to go back to the white tees after a little tail between the legs action, but it is a good 80 to 100 yards from the blacks to the whites on this beautiful par 4. Nice yawning dog leg to the left. Looks kind of like a Tom Fazio hole here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good view coming around the corner there too.
Absolutely. Can you clear that trap?
Should be able to.
All right. For those of you watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can see what a great view of this is. Matt's got about 122 left heading into a fairly benign green, but the backdrop is Lake Superior on a gorgeous day here in the UP.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this is one of the easier greens on the course. Not much to this.
Yeah, it looks that way. So let's get another birdie, Matt.
Let's do it.
We're on the green here at the 5th at Wild Bluff. Just an incredible view of the bay and then out to Lake Superior. Not nearly as an incredible view of Matt trying to get up and down here.
Yeah. Poor wedge shot, dead pull.
Did not leave himself a great lie just at the end. But a magnificent out. Lovely. Keep coming, baby. I should make short work of that for a great up and down par. All right. Welcome back to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio, 101.1 WGRY. Our YouTube and Facebook pages, continuing our visit to Boyne Golf here at the Heathers and the Highlands. Josh Richter, Director of Golf here at Boyne. And, this Epson Tour has arrived here. We weren't really sure what was going to happen in year one, right? And it's turned out to be a pretty big success. And
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the best new event on the Epsom Tour last year. So we're very humbled by that and the partnership with Great Lakes Sports Commission. And yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah, it's I was lucky enough to play in the Pro-Am last year with Leah John, who ended up making it through Q School, and she's playing on the LPGA Tour. I've stayed in contact with her. She's a lovely gal, and that's one of the things that I saw. When we had the post-round cocktail party and the dinner,
Yeah.
these gals are not only are they working their tails off, but they're just all really nice young ladies.
They really are. They're great ambassadors for the sport.
Yeah.
And that was something that I was super impressed by. Not surprised, but impressed by. And, and we were talking last night at the Meet the Players party,
Right.
that the top 10 finishers from the event here last year are all playing on the LPGA Tour now, which is really awesome.
It's pretty incredible. And what's really incredible is I get to play the fantastic Heathers golf course. I talked to a gal who played in it last year, a couple weeks ago on the show, and the Heathers is the one that started it all off, right?
Correct, yes.
But these gals play all over the place, and she was just so effusive in how different the routing was. For a golf course that's been, what is it,
60 years.
60 years now, man, it really holds up.
It sure does. I mean, we talk about all the time, this is where it started, right? And
right.
This is the one we still, as we, whether we build a new golf course or we renovate, we still compare everything to the Heather. And it's stood the test of time. It's a great championship venue, whether it be the Epsom this week or it be, Michigan Amateur, AJGA, or many
Right.
other events that we've hosted. So
we've got the 18th green
Yeah.
right here, a fantastic finishing hole. This is where the VIPs in the tent here, I can't actually see it on the video, and I'm not going to pan the camera, but for just $5, people can come out and watch this tournament, get as close as you possibly can to the players. The VIP experience is a wonderful opportunity to do this at a price point that you can live with, as opposed to.
it sure is. And, another thing about the Heather that I think is really awesome is it's really great for watching golf. Whether we're in the VIP tent here,
Yep.
we can watch down 10, we can watch them come up 9, we can see over tee shots on 8, of course 18. It's really a great spot, and you can see a lot of things, easy to get around, and it just makes for a total experience here for participants and players alike.
What you just said, that's why you hold a lot of tournaments here.
Yes.
And most of these gals are with their families. They're staying in the hotel. That's another thing that was brought up a number of times. It doesn't always happen this way for these Epsom ladies to be able to stay on property. We were out at the academy with Joe, and a lot of the girls were out there
Yes.
working on their games already. So, you just Boyne just always seems to have everything you need, no matter whether it's a tournament or a big group or just two buddies going out and playing.
It sure does. We talk about this all the time. It starts with the product, right? The golf course.
Yeah.
And then the marketing efforts, the sales efforts, the team here, whether it be the agronomy team or be the golf shop team, they do an incredible job to create a 360 experience that's worthwhile.
So, talk about, since let's move off the Heathers for a little bit. The whole array of courses, Ken and I have talked about this for many, many years, but it's just so true that, when you play resort courses in northern Michigan, there's a ton of great golf courses here.
Yes.
We're blessed to have them. But it just seems like the courses all have a familiar feel, but that's not. You get a different experience on every single track of the 10 tracks and the Dune Break course.
You sure do. I mean, our biggest part of our story is talking about variety, but also consistency. So, whether you're playing the Heather, or you're over on the Donald Ross Memorial, you go down to the Alpine or Bay Harbor Golf Club, the golf course conditions are very consistent, which creates a wonderful experience over the course of, what we hope is many rounds that somebody plays when they're with us.
Well, that's 100%. But I'm talking about, like when you come up and play here and you're like, wow, the Ross is totally different than the Moore,
Yes.
which is totally different than Crooked Tree.
Correct.
And, and that's what is like the added special secret sauce of Boyne.
Correct. Yeah, the variety.
Yeah.
the Parkland Golf Course, the Ross Memorial with the different places that that we picked holes from, the Arthur Hills with this big change in elevation and the vastness of it. Bay Harbor, going on the quarry and working your way through the old cement quarry, the links along the lake, or Boyne Mountain, just mountain golf course, tons of change in elevation, going down to Deer Lake. It's just beautiful places.
Yeah, and when you add that into, like you said, the consistency of the product, the way that the greens are always perfectly manicured, the traps always seem to be great. It's a problem in resort Northern Michigan golf because a lot of the traps are cut into the hills and they're hard to maintain, but you guys always seem to do a great job with that.
We take a ton of pride in it, and we know that's why you come initially is for the golf course, and we have a set of standards, and the team works really hard to meet those.
Then just pulling it all full circle, the lodging choices are amazing, and that's one thing that you get feedback. I get feedback from guys that come up here and hey, we stayed in a condo this time, and it was gorgeous. Instead of sharing hotel rooms, you can fit about any group of any size anywhere into whatever type of arrangement they want to have.
Yes, that's one of the fun things. We have these wonderful guest service agents in our call center, and we talk about it from the standpoint of you got a picture in your head of what your ideal golf vacation is, and you tell us what that is, and we make it happen. Whatever the room type is, whatever the types of courses you want to play, what F&B things you want to have to complement that, and we're really proud of the job that they do to take your dream and make it a reality.
And oh, by the way, there's a lot of great stuff to do around here that's not on property, right?
That's right. That's right. We have to pinch ourselves sometimes living here, right?
Yep.
It's an incredible place to live, and the boutique cities, as I like to say, with the shopping and the dining and lakeside, whether it be in Harbor Springs, Petoskey, Point City, it's a perfect complement while you're up here enjoying a golf experience, which may be what ultimately led you here.
Or just a true overall experience.
That's right.
Whether you're going to play golf, you're going to do some sightseeing, you got all the great wineries. A ton of people go to Mackinac Island while they're here, and it just. I hate to be a shill, but it's really easy to be a shill for Boyne Golf, and I know you feel the same way.
Yeah, and we appreciate it, Jerry, and you coming and spending time with us again, and being a fan and being an ambassador for us. Well, I appreciate it a lot.
It's like I said, it's super easy to be a fan. We're going to miss this fella over here.
We sure are.
Yeah.
We sure are, but he's got his fingerprints all over the place, and we'll, with our new director of golf sales and marketing, T.R. Hollis, he's going to carry that torch and continue to move us along.
The one thing I'm worried about, Josh, is he going to get better at golf now and end up beating me? Seeing him get out of his new motorhome this morning, I'm not sure how golf centric it's going to be as he gets into his retirement years. Okay.
But I'll tell you what, he's been incredible for us. He's taken us to places that we dreamed of a decade plus ago when he joined Boyne Golf, and we're forever grateful.
Does he get a special parking pass? Like, will I see the motorhome between the 5th and 6th?
He's probably not on that part, but he's going to have access to all the golf he can play whenever he's in town. So,
Josh Richter from Boyne Golf.
Appreciate it, Jerry.
No, thank you. It's I can't wait to play today. I know the guys in my group that I put together are super excited. One of them played last year, and I'm like, hey, Dino, you want to play? They're like, what, are you kidding me?
Well, that's great, and that's the stuff that we get so excited about is you come here the first time and then you become a loyalist, and we're extremely humbled by that support.
I can't get out of here without because I can hear Ken just whispering in my ear. Booking for 27 already.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yep. We started booking for 27 in early May, and it used to be always book now for the best price, and now it's really book now to get your tee times, book now to get the room you want, and if you don't get on it quick, that might not be available.
Yeah, so. I know weekends for 2026 are tough, especially for bigger groups. Midday still. You can get a group of 25 in here. You play them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that kind of thing, but that's going to. Check with your agents, and they might find you a spot. But, hey, Highline Resort Golf is super busy, and Boyne is right there. They keep winning all the awards, and that's why the tee sheets are full.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. I mean, again, we pinch ourselves sometimes, but we also aren't resting on our laurels of it's just going to happen. We're continuing to reinvest and continuing to get better.
That's really, I was going to close, but you guys are always reinvesting. I had Ray Hearn on last week, and he's always talking about that. I wouldn't have never even met Ray if it hadn't been my association with Ken and Boyne, and now he's a regular member of the show. But for all the golf clients he has, he praises you guys the most for your forward vision. We got to take a look 5 years down the road, because if you don't, you get caught with your pants around your ankles. And
that's right. And the tremendous vision that starts with our CEO Stephen Kircher and Bernie. For being here nearly 50 years now, and to have those guys leading all these things, it's been a tremendous honor to be part of that group.
All right, Josh Richter, thanks for joining us
on
Finding
Finding
Fairways. Thanks for having Finding Fairways. I don't know if we'd have a program if it wasn't for our association with Boyne. We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by BoyneGolf.com.
Super.